Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition, Wizards of the Coast, Hasbro, Renegade Games, Essence 20 new tabletop role-playing game, Transformers. Alright, so basically, something really big happened recently. So basically, Renegade Games got the licenses for Power Rangers, G.I. Joe, and Transformers, okay? And so these are all 80s. These are all from the 80s. They're all Saturday morning cartoons, okay? And to be clear, Hasbro owns all of these properties, and Hasbro owns a company that makes the best tabletop role-playing game in the world. And they said, you know what? We're not touching any of these trash IPs to make a tabletop role-playing game out of, because indie tabletop role-playing games do not make money. And boy, were they right. That's why I think Hasbro did a dump and run and dumped these on Renegade Games, right? They're like, we don't want this scrub money. All this can do is just muck up our D&D victory, right? Which then they are. They're winning the world with Dungeons & Dragons. Dungeons & Dragons is stronger than the entire tabletop role-playing game industry combined, right? And so they don't want all the problems that are going to come with all these chump IPs, right? So basically, let's talk about this Transformers tabletop role-playing game. What does it mean? Okay. So first of all, why would you bother with it? Okay. So one, I think you guys, like, please. I'm not trying to be insulting. This ain't about money. I'll tell you right now. No one is going into the tabletop role-playing game business for money, right? And if they are, there are a few people. But I'll tell you right now, Hasbro is smart enough to know, if you want to make money, you do not make a tabletop role-playing game. You can make a card game, you can make a video game, you can make a board game, and all of those are going to make more than a tabletop role-playing game. So why are intellectual properties made for? Why are licensed IPs still doing tabletop role-playing games? Well, there are some good reasons for it. One, the smartest people in the world are attached to tabletop role-playing games, right? And frankly, I hate to say it, but smart people are privileged. Smart people are incredibly privileged, right? So smart people get what they want, and the one good thing is we have landed in a world where in the old days, basically, you had to be in the old days, it was a lot easier, right, to be privileged if you were white, right? But we are landing in a world where smart is all that's required, right? And increasingly, we're landing in a world where people who used to be marginalized can now become wealthy, and if you're wealthy, you're going to get what you want, right? That's just the way so wealth is the ultimate privilege, right? And I actually, you know what? I'm going to say what I think here, right? Please correct me if I'm wrong. It's good that wealth is a privileged class because we have built a world where marginalized people can absolutely be wealthy, right? And so you could pick whatever marginalized group you want, and there's a billionaire within it, right? Several, right? So that's good, right? So basically, people who used to be cut out of privilege can now be included in privilege, regardless of whatever marginalized attribute they have, simply by attaching wealth to themselves. That is, the world has changed dramatically. There was like one specific event I remember that happened in the 90s where I was like, oh, wealth and privilege can be for everyone. And it was like the whole world realized it. I think in like one shining moment, though, it was like, oh, we built a world where anybody can be wealthy, like really wealthy. And so, so basically, I think that is interesting. And so one of the reasons why I think like Transformers is going to be a game is smart people want it, right? They're just like a lot of people who love, a lot of just literally hundreds of rich millionaires who want to see this happen. Like that's one of the reasons why this game will exist, right? And then the other issue, and I think the other thing that may be happening is going to frighten some of you, but I'm just going to say it. I'll tell you right now, right? If you make a tabletop, like they're going to make this Transformers tabletop role-playing game. Why? What is the point? I'll tell you right now, it has nothing to do with money. There's no point in making a tabletop role-playing game for money, because you're going to pick up chump change, right? Now, there is a good reason to make a tabletop role-playing game. One of the things is podcasts are incredibly important, and the reason why is they are self-selecting for wealthy people, right? And wealthy, powerful, privileged people, period. End of sentence, okay? And so one of the things you could do is simply by creating this tabletop role-playing game, when it is ordered through Amazon, when it is ordered through the website for Renegade Games, right? And I will bet you that basically Renegade Games will be will have strong incentives to, I'm not saying they will, but they will have strong incentives to give the buy list. The buy list could be outrageously valuable. Really, really valuable, right? So if you make a tabletop, this game, they're going to make this book. It's going to be $50, right? Maybe 75, right? They're going to get to keep 20, 25 per copy. How many copies are they going to sell? 100,000 if they're lucky? Maybe 1 million? Like, it's chump change. It's nothing, right? But listing out 100,000 super, super wealthy people who can buy cars, who can buy houses, who can get mortgages, right? That list of people who are buying that game is incredibly valuable, right? It can be sold to any luxury item company, just the list, right? So basically when that order goes through, they can get name, address, phone number, right? I gave name, address, and phone number to buy Viking Squad, right? And they were right to do it, right? Because you should definitely be advertising to me, right? Like, I've reached a point in my life where I got a little bit of extra to spend, right? So, and the reality is, and yeah, there's no two ways about it. So by far, the most valuable reason to build a tabletop role-playing game is the people who will buy it. Their name alone could be worth $1,000 easily, right? And just so you're aware, this would be for products that are massive. Mortgages, car loans, and literally like loans much larger than people who run these games are the smartest people in the world, and they are connected to product systems where millions, hundreds of millions are routinely spent. So the buy list on who is buying these games is worth 100 times, in my opinion, what you will make from the game. And I think Renegade Games might know that, and I would not be surprised for 1 second if that list gets kicked back to Hasbro as well. Which, so that is interesting. And now it's counterintuitive and it's hard to understand why a buy list would be worth more than cash, but I'm convinced we've arrived there. That's my opinion, and I think that's why the Transformers game is going to get made for the buy list. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.